Good morning. Quite a dramatic backdrop here. A bit of sun and then black clouds. Jason's trotting down on a beautiful, little bit spooky baby horse. So Jason's on a 3-year-old that's in for starting. She's a seriously beautiful mare, and her bloodlines are sort of a who's who of dressage breeding. I was just having a little look just now. She's a very, very well bred mare. She's quite a bit of a live wire, I would say. But she's been really good since she's been with us. She came all the way down from Scotland, actually. So she's just starting her 4th week. So this would be probably around her 12th ride, maybe. So Jason starts with about 3 or 4 days of groundwork, then a couple of rides in the round pen, and then we're out round the farm. She's actually just been on a 2-week break because we've been on holiday. So she had a ride yesterday, and then today Jason's brought her down onto the farm tracks and is going to put her through the water. How's it going, Jace? Back from your holes?
We're back to it. And here we've got Pippi. She's a lovely mare. She's a little bit lucky with things. I'm coming out the track. She's a bit unsure about stuff, but hopefully just doing things and going around, we sort of get a bit of confidence. You can see her just checking out the mounting block, which is good, because that's what we're going to be using to get on once we get this. Now we're doing some water training here. She's never been through water to my knowledge, so we're going to see how she goes. I imagine she'll find this a little bit tricky, and it may take a little bit of time, so I'll sort of, Penny sort of knows the process fairly well, but and she'll be explaining, and I'll do as much as I can. Hopefully we get a result, we get it through, but if not, and you guys have got to go, then we'll just keep working away until we get through and give her a ride through the water. You can see, I don't know whether you can see the setup I've got on. So I came down obviously with reins on, my rope reins, which are quite easy to take off. And then I put on a bridle rope, and this idea came from Steve Brady, an old trainer out in Australia. He was pretty amazing man with horses, and he came over for a little.
Yeah.
He showed me this up, and I find it just really useful from time to time when I'm lunging, or if I've got to come and do something like this. And the reason it's so useful is it pulls like a head collar. So when I pull forward, the pressure's on the pole, not on the bit, and shifting the bit around. So it's a really good little bit of kit. Simple but effective.
Yeah, it means you can go from groundwork to ridden work really easily and back again.
Yes,
yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so with the babies, Jason always sort of starts them off with obstacles like water and things on the ground. But yeah, he'd just say you don't have to. But especially with horses that might find it a bit tricky, or they're not totally down with their forward cues, like these horses, she'll only be on her 10th, 12th ride. You don't want to confuse the situation with your ridden forward cues. So she's doing the classic. This is great. She's investigating. So she's sniffing. She might have a little, actually dunk her muzzle in a minute. She might have a little paw and a little scrape at it, sort of testing with her front legs. And all the time that she's investigating, Jason's just leaving her alone. If her attention wanders, then he might put a little bit of energy and a bit of refocus in. he uses the schooling whip, or that sort of baton that he's got in his left hand, as just it's almost like a guide. So he's not using it as a whip, but it's creating a channel for her to stay in. And she's just sort of coming into his space there, so he's just saying, get out a little bit. He's laughing at me. Oh, Liz, we're looking forward to the hacking camp too. We're getting all ready. So I'm sure on the hacking camp they'll be going through this as well. Yeah, so she was just testing things there, just going into Jason's space, trying to think, well, I've had a little look at that. I don't know quite, I don't really want to be going into that. Yeah. And so she'll go through all the sort of usual resistances, and there she's having a look, so Jason just leaves her alone. And he's never going to try and pull her over through the water or over a ditch or over a spooky object, because that's just creating sort of resistances. It's got to be the horse's idea to go through.
So when they're doing this, they'll give it a go. Some horses will give it a go, and then they'll say, I can't do it. And she's at a stage where I can't.
Yeah. So Jason's saying, you know, she's just shut down a little bit. She's saying, I can't do that. So he's just adding a little bit of energy, keeping her in the channel. And you see she's gone from investigating to going, nah, I don't want to. Okay. I'll try and get it from a different angle. So where Jason's adding energy is where his legs would be. And there's all sorts of ways that you can encourage horses through water and things. She just doesn't know. But you could have another horse going through and all sorts of things like that, to give them a bit of confidence. But if you met something like this out hacking or in a competition and things, it is good for the babies to learn to, you know, to take confidence from the rider or the handler, rather than having more sort of outside influences. And you can see these little sort of resistances. She's kicking up a little bit. You know, Jason's not using the whip as in a sort of hitting sense. It's like a little encouragement, keeping her straight and adding energy. Oh. Do you want to chat, Jace?
Yeah, it's funny. She's just opened up again. So it's funny how horses go through phases. When I first came in, she was looking at it and investigating, and then she just stalled basically. She went, oh, that is too much. I can't quite manage that. She's just given up. So I'm just trying to get a bit of try back in her. And she stopped and kicked and head up and not really going forward. And just then she started to change, just as you asked me.
Yeah, sorry.
But that's fine. She started to change, and oh, I know what you mean, I've got to go forward. And then you've just got to sort of bide your time and look for those moments where she's trying, where she's having a little go, a little look, and just let them, you know. And this is why, you know, it takes as long as it takes, because some horses have got a lot of more of a willful streak, so they come to something challenging and they want to back off to it. Other horses will be a little bit more confident, a bit more investigative, if that's a word, and so they'll go around from there.
I think she's just seen the horses in the field next door. She's quite, she is a little bit on the reactive side, this mare. For those of you that were on it at the beginning. She is an incredibly well-bred mare. She's I can't quite remember. I think she's by Wild Child, and out of a Szechuan mare. Got a bit of Sandro Hit in there, and yeah, lots of well-known names in her breeding. She moves beautifully, and she's a really stunning horse. So I'm sure she's going to go on for great things. When I'm pretty sure water jumps aren't going to be quite part of her competition repertoire in the future, but it's all just good foundations. You know, all horses should be able to be hacked out and go through water, over a ditch, over a little jump and things. It's all part of them being a sort of nice, happy ridden horse. So she is starting to investigate again, and this is what Jason was looking for. She's starting to try again. So she's tried a bit of, you know, I don't want to, and resistances. So last week, or the last couple of weeks, been on holiday. So we went to Germany for a week. Our son was playing hockey out there, which was just awesome to watch. That was really cool. And then last week, we didn't have any horses in work, but Jason did a couple of jobs. And you might have seen last Tuesday check-in, he was up at Epsom. He was working with some racehorses up there. And a couple who had started rearing on the way to the gallops. And yeah, so I think he did groundwork on the check-in, and then he rode them. And the one that he did the groundwork in did test him a little bit under saddle. But then Jason had the pleasure of being able to, well, he didn't gallop it, but like go for a fast canter up the gallops in front of the Epsom grandstand, which was quite cool. You can see there she's really objecting. She just doesn't quite want to take that step. Yeah, so I think he had a bit of fun. You know, once the rearing was sorted a little bit, then he had nice fun on. I think it was it Fat Boy, Jason the horse, Fat Boy, up the Epsom gallop. So that was nice. Jason's dad breeds some local racehorses to go on the local tracks in Australia. So he's well used to starting the thoroughbreds for the the race course, and retraining them once they're off the race course. So she's really having a good investigation now. This might end up being quite a long cup of tea for you. Might have to get back to your work. I've got to get back to my work. I've got to get ready for the setting up for the hacking camp. So we have some people arriving this afternoon, some people in the morning. Got 15 people coming. So lots of horses and riders to fit in. You can see at no point is Jason pulling on her. And the taps are always when she's thinking a little bit backwards. She's really not sure, is she?
She's a dressage.
She's very posh. She's got 4 white socks. Oh, that's a good sign. That's a really good investigation. Look, she's got her nose right in there. And when she's doing that, Jason's just leaving her perfectly alone. And this is where lots of patience comes into horse training. Oh, she's...
The thing that I'm trying not to do is move too much myself.
Yeah. So
she wants to push me out of the way.
So Jason's saying that he's trying to stand his ground. She's trying to come into his space quite a lot. You can see she keeps creeping towards, and it's quite easy as a handler to sort of not realise you're doing it, but back away out of out of their space. So he's trying to keep his ground, trying to keep her away from him. Oh, good girl. We've got the first two white socks in. Good girl. I think she's quite enjoying it now. Good girl. So it's all been done in a pretty unstressy way. But the trick is that, when they are thinking backwards and things, you keep adding that energy until you get that forward try. It might not even be a step. It might be a lowering of the head. It might be that little investigation. And then you leave them be. Yeah, Jason says she's almost more worried about that step at the end of it than, yeah. So we'll see if she comes through. Yeah, she is pretty beautiful, isn't she, Sarah? Oh, and you can't... So some people are a bit funny about chestnut mares, but I think, the best horse I've ever had was a chestnut mare. And this is really common as well. They start pouring, and she's almost thinking, God, I'd quite like to have a little roll in that, which wouldn't be great. But yeah, we love chestnut mares here. If you get a good one, they're fantastic. Yeah, so he just said he'll do one more on foot, and then he might hop on and ride her through. And you would think that if they've gone through on the ground, that when they're ridden through, they'd go straight through. But sometimes it's not quite as simple as that, because it's they're getting a bit of confidence from the handler on the ground. Yeah, and it's why Jason's working at the side of her rather than sort of in front. So she's having to make these moves herself and be bold. And she's making that decision herself. So hopefully when he jumps on, she'll be going through in no worries at all. So this mare, she's only 3 years old. She's probably had like 10 or 11 rides so far. She's just come back after a 2-week holiday when Jason's had a nice 2-week break from riding horses. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's probably worth saying that this is very helpful with loading.
Yeah. So Jason's just saying, he's just been out he's been doing a few loaders recently. And all these techniques are exactly what he would use when loading horses. Or if your horse doesn't like going into a stable, or, anything where, you're wanting forward movement on the ground and they're a bit sticky. can use really similar techniques. So he's just gonna, oh, this is a very long live at 11 this morning. Yeah, yeah, we did warn you at the beginning. So he's just gonna change his reins over, pop his reins back on and hop on. Yeah, so within Jason's online horse training program, there are heaps and heaps of videos about, you know, negotiating obstacles like water, ditches, loading, jumping, spooking, all those kind of things. So if you have an interest in this, or you have a horse that you have problems with, then, you know, do check it out. It's really, yeah, it's great. And because everything's in building blocks, you know, if you learn to do this through water, you can learn to do it loading, etc., etc. So Pippa here is, you know, she is a little bit of a busy mare.
I should take my time here. I would have repeated that.
Lovely. She's just working out how to get up the step. Just about works it out. Good girl. So Jason's going to have fun today. We've got, yeah, she's just rushing through that gap a little bit. Okay, he's going to go through the tracks here and come back around. So we've got 5 horses that are all at exactly the same stage as Pippa here. So I think Jason's going to spend a day down here at the water jump, having a bit of fun with them. I'm just having a little look at something. I don't know quite what that is. I think she's quite enjoying it now. Right, he's off. Carrying on a ride around the farm, so we'll just follow him out the track. And yeah, hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, looking forward to our hacking camp. And oh, next week, I don't know what will happen. I'm not here, and we've got the Ashford Valley Pony Club junior camp, so we've got 34 kids on the farm. So I'm not entirely sure what will happen with the Tuesday check-in, but I'm sure something will happen. Right, guys, we will catch you next week. See you later.